Do you hear that? The monkeys! They're abuzz! There must be some new Music Zoo exclusives to check out today. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Well, I think they've outdone themselves this time. We have a brand new Les Paul model within our lineups here now. These guys are calling it the Gibson Custom Shop 1954 Les Paul Senior. So let's take a look at this thing. When I first saw this, I thought, oh, cool. Les Paul Juniors, they normally have a pickguard that looks like this. They just put a regular Les Paul one on there? Is that really it? But no. This is a completely different thing. It's a carved top, so normally Les Paul Juniors, they're flat tops. They don't have anything to them. So this is going to more so resemble like a Les Paul standard in the way that it has the belly that you can see on all other historic reissues. However, they encapsulated the original look of a Junior by having that dog ear P90 and the wrap tailpiece on this thing. But then they also put binding around the edge due to the top. So it's got a little bit of fancy blingage here, but yet everything else is still kind of Junior-esque right there. But then we move on to our neck. They left it alone with no binding. You just have a regular rosewood fretboard with dot inlays. And our headstock here is all looking like a vintage Les Paul Junior. You got your historic style truss rod cover. You've got the old white button tuners that are 3 on a side, historic style serial number, aniline dies, cherry color. This is a pretty cool custom order. So it's a pretty unique idea, right? How much is this thing? $6,400. Wow. That is expensive for a Junior, but hold on a second. Before you guys tell me it's too expensive, let's at least justify it a little bit more. So again, regular Les Paul Juniors, they have flat tops. This is a completely different thing. Typically, Les Paul Juniors are smaller compared to a standard. So I had to dive a little bit more into this to see, is this actually a Junior or is it a standard that's been dressed down as a Junior? And that's exactly what this is. This is a regular Les Paul standards body. So if you're thinking, hey, for a couple $100 more, I could buy a real 59 reissue. What's going on here? It's because that's kind of what this is. It just has different parts and hardware. We've got the mahogany top now instead of the normally flamed maple. And then, as you can see behind our friend here, they had to order more than one of these, probably to even get Gibson to consider this. Trust me, in trying to order some cool stuff from the made-to-measure factory, sometimes in order for Gibson to retool everything and make it the way it needs to be, you have to buy so many of them. So that's right, we've got a whole plethora of options here to choose from. So within the aniline dyes of the cherry finish here, we've got this one, which just has absolutely beautiful wood grain. It would be my #1 pick. There was also this one that had some good swirling in it. This one that's a little bit less extreme, but has a little something cool going on right there. And then we also have this example, all fine selections. But hey, check this out, TV Yellow offered at a slight discount. I would have figured the TV Yellow would have been more expensive. However, the cherry definitely pulls this look off the best, I think. So we've got this one with decent wood grain. I really like this one, it looks fuzzy. Maybe not as much swirl as this one had, but that's what I look for when I think TV Yellow. And then you get this one, which I would kind of be disappointed to get. But if you thought this one was bad, this one just has like no wood grain at all, which is a real letdown on the TV Yellow finish. But hey, let's check out the backs. Maybe there's some redeeming qualities there. Okay, a little bit. Maybe the photos don't do that one justice. That's the third one, my favorite one. And the first one we saw, yeah, nothing too crazy on the backs of any of these. But then there was also a lone traditional finish. Now I think the problem with this one is on online photos, nobody's going to realize that it's any different than a regular Les Paul Junior, except for the pickguard that's been changed. Because the binding hides too well in these photos until you get to look at it on the side. And the carved top just gets hidden by all this too. So if you want like a secret weapon guitar, that's what you go for there. Or if you've always loved Les Paul Junior but just wish it was the full body thickness, that's exactly what you're going for here. So that's what's currently on Music Zoo's website now. There's 9 of them, but I have a sneaking suspicion they had to at least do 10, and we do have evidence of at least 11 of these. So apparently the story behind these is they had a prototype run of 2 of these. They had a very dark like mahogany burst to their first one, and then they also did a TV Yellow that had a normal back and sides, you know, kind of 57 reissue style. However, they decided to further refine the specs to get these vintage inspired colors, you know, full on TV Yellow. You got your regular sunburst and the cherry aniline dyes, which was a fantastic move. Those turned out the best in my opinion. However, instead of this burst style, I really do like the prototype burst. That looks quite nice. And the prototype's got Grover tuners, which is probably a spec I would have left, but I understand why they went for that vintage style. So what an interesting way to dress down a Les Paul standard into something completely different. It's a great new take on that single pickup guitar that these crazy guys like to do. So maybe they'll do more, maybe they won't. Or maybe it'll just be the 11 documented examples that we know about that will become future collectibles for the next generation to pine over. Who knows? So, am I going to buy one of these to review and document because it's so cool? I'm going to leave that up to you guys. Get this video to 6,000 likes within 48 hours, and I'll buy one, do the full rundown and documentation. I think that's pretty fair. So if anybody wants to New Guitar Day one of these, okay, let's do it. But otherwise, that leads us into our next custom orders they did. If you like my Junior Rhythm, they did more colors of them. So here we go. We've got another cherry one of these with just the neck pickup. They're interesting guitars. They feel fascinating. I think it really depends on what type of music that you want to play, but they're definitely an oddball within the Gibson collection here. Now, my favorite thing about my Sunburst one is the fact that the pickup seemingly disappears at certain photo angles. So I really like that it just looks like a pickup-less guitar. So seeing this in cherry finish, I don't like it as much as the whole dressed up Les Paul Seniors, but I am glad more colors exist. And next up, this made me happy. TV yellow. Kind of the same thing. Looks a little bit strange and plain. I would definitely say the Sunburst pulls this look off the best. However, TV yellow has sold, but that other one, if you're interested, is still available, or you can purchase my old one that's on Reverb. I just really love the custom shop cases on these guys, the faux alligator skins. But surprisingly, once again, the cherry one was $5,000 brand new, and the way cooler TV yellow on this particular example, even cheaper. Are aniline dyes really that expensive? Must be. But hey, if you don't want neck pickups and you don't want carved tops, you want something a little bit more traditional, you can look at this one. They do these quite often. But this time, instead of a dog ear P90, it's a humbucker. Oh, and it appears to have been aged. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense with our price point here. But what makes this one cool is the fact that they had them wire it with a push-pull pot. So you can actually split this down to a single coil-esque sound to get two different tones out of your Les Paul Jr. And then to make it even fancier, we've got a stinger on the back of the neck, but interesting choice for the Grover-style Schaller made in Germany tuners. At first I saw this and I was like, those are kind of ugly on a guitar like this, but then I really thought about it. This guitar is trying to encapsulate a modified instrument from the past, something that somebody might have done. And things that fall under that category are upgrade your pickup to something more suitable for the 70s, give it something that makes it more versatile in tone, and upgrade your tuners from the strip style to make it look fancier. So under those terms, I agree with everything that was spec'd out here. But hey, if juniors aren't your style, check out this Les Paul custom. It was listed for $7,000, probably about appropriate for something as custom as this thing. So we get a green burst finish. This is known as Iguana burst. It was around the 2010s when we first saw this finish get used. Then you also had things like Gecko burst, but when it came to a custom, you would generally only see this, from the custom shop. And I'm pretty sure we've also seen maple fretboarded versions of one of these. It's just like the ultimate, hey, you like Les Pauls, but you want something way confusing and strange? This is what you went for. But what makes this one so cool is the fact that it has a flamed maple fretboard. Gibson doesn't do that too often. Like, I believe I had an M3 once that had a flame maple fretboard. That was a cool guitar. But generally, when Gibson rarely does a maple fretboard, it's just plain. So to see one that got spec'd out specifically as flamed was really cool for me. And then when you flip over to the backside, you just have the regular mahogany neck. So it's just the fretboard that was swapped on this one. No 5-piece maple necks on the back of this one, although that would have been pretty cool just to make the entire thing out of maple. But it's a unique top. I'm not going to say it's like ultra heavily flamed, but it's got the wide figuring going on. I bet this would look way cooler in person than it does through the stock photos. The only thing that made me pause a bit is $7,000, and it didn't get spec'd historically with like an ABR1 bridge. And what worried me about this one is it doesn't look like they lacquered the fretboard. They might have. There might be like a thin satin or something, but I like the gloss on that, and that would have brought the flamed maple figuring even more to life. So that's what made me take a pause on this one. However, it looks like it's already found a loving new home, which is great. As far as some other things, they did another one of the custom shop old blacks. I'm surprised Gibson can get away with keep making these things, but hey, while they're here, you might as well get them. Offered at $8,400. You've got the Bigsby, you've got the aged Firebird pickup, you've got the P90, you've got all the correct covers. They even aged the finish of this one. So this is a Murphy Labs creation. So honestly, knowing how expensive Murphy Labs division guitars are, having this thing be double painted because there's gold underneath this black, and having all these custom specs and everything, the price truly is not that atrocious for what this is, if this is exactly what you're looking for, because the Gibson Custom Shop has not officially released an old black model. Now, yes, there were a few made, they were trying to make it happen, and then they got a cease and desist. It's kind of a long story of trying to do a backdoor deal only in Japan, but occasionally you can find the real ones. But as far as one that Gibson will admit to making, you can buy one of these from Music Zoo. They also had one of those Oxblood guitars, Jeff Beck style here, and they had quite a few reissues that looked pretty nice. You can take a look at a couple of those here. But this one looks particularly nice to me on their website, the Kindred Burst Fade. Now it's $11,000 because they pre-aged it for you, but that's got a nice top to it. And then lastly, we have another one of these Raptail 335s. So my idea for a custom order with these guys was I wanted to do a bridge pickup only Raptail 335, but Gibson said no. Like there's something with the neck joint that they have to put a neck pickup on a 335, which I was kind of sad about because I think just a single bridge pickup 330 styled instrument would just be kind of funny to see. But just a Raptail in general is pretty cool, especially with this Pelham blue finish that's been slightly aged. All right, Troglodytes, I am interested to hear your thoughts and opinions on the Les Paul Senior and anything else I talked about in today's episode. Leave those comments down below, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.